In my last video, I talked about the base story of BioShock Infinite. If you didn't watch that video, I basically said that the story was confusing, brilliant, and bittersweet. I loved it. But this time, we're going to dive into the Burial at Sea DLC, and let me tell you, my confusion didn't end with the base game. After this DLC, I was right back to sitting in a dark room, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything again. This kicked my ass too. Before we start, I absolutely want to mention that I'm extremely grateful for all of the support shown in my last video. I did not expect that many people to watch it and like it. You guys fucking rock. But now, let's talk about Burial at Sea. Kind of like the base story, the DLC opens in blackness and distorted dialogue. Pretty much a recap of the moment where Booker gives away his daughter Anna, who later becomes Elizabeth. Then you wake up to knocking on a door, and sure enough, you see that you're Booker. You could tell immediately by the alcohol, the racing forms, and the office door. That's classic Booker DeWitt. Wait, pause. Booker? Didn't he die at the end of the base story? Exactly. We're only 1 second in and the DLC already starts breaking your brain. It took me a while to understand this too, but I'll explain it. Here's the short version. When Elizabeth killed Booker at the baptism, she didn't erase every version of him, only the ones where that baptism choice existed. In other words, she only erased the timelines that could ever create Comstock, but there is still an infinite amount of other realities where Booker never even reached that point in his life. In one reality, he could have never even served in the military. In another reality, he could just be some guy working a dead-end job at Carl's Jr. The point is, the only versions of Booker left are from a reality where the baptism choice never existed. But here's where things get strange. This Booker remembers things that he shouldn't. He has memories of giving Anna away to Comstock, which is something that shouldn't be possible since those realities don't exist anymore. Thankfully, the end of episode 1 in this DLC answers that. It's another obvious bit of foreshadowing that one could easily overlook. After Booker wakes up to the knocking, Elizabeth opens the door and walks in, telling Booker that she has work for him. And you might also be wondering, how is she even here? Why didn't she vanish like the other Elizabeths at the end of Infinite? Here's as simple of an answer as I could give you. This is the Elizabeth that we already know, the one who had stepped outside of time by the end of the base game. While the others were tied to their own worlds, this one existed beyond them. When the universes collapsed, she stayed, and now she's here in Rapture. I'm sorry, I'm already losing my mind with this. Sometimes it's just best not to think too hard on an explanation for things, especially a game about time traveling and having millions of realities in it. But the good news is that we got the worst and most confusing part out of the way. We can finally go through Burial at Sea's story. Anyways, we were saying that Elizabeth has work for Booker. As you can see on Booker's desk, he has a calendar that says that it's December 31st in the year 1958. We'll briefly talk about that in a minute. While Booker is lighting up a cigarette for Elizabeth, he asks, "You got a name, miss?" Elizabeth shares her name, but what's weird is how Booker doesn't even know who she is. Again, another big piece of foreshadowing in like the first minute of the DLC. Elizabeth finally tells Booker what work she has cut out for him. Elizabeth says that she needs help to find a girl. When Booker is handed a picture of the girl, you see that the girl's name is Sally with a doll named Sarah. Weird. The same doll's head is on Booker's desk right next to the calendar. So maybe there's an actual connection with Booker and Sally that we don't know about yet. Booker says that Sally is dead and we don't know why or how she's dead yet. After Elizabeth clarifies if he knows her, he states,
"You'll see dozens of her tied down by the docks or the slums in Apollo Square. Orphans. With Fontaine's charity shut. No place for them."
If you didn't catch that, he's simply trying to detach and brush off the case. Once again, Booker states that Sally is dead and he lifts up the doll head into view, showing that he really does know her. Elizabeth then convinces Booker that Sally is lost and not dead, and she seems pretty damn sure of it. But from what we know with this Elizabeth, she sees behind all of the doors and she for sure knows things. She knows Sally isn't dead and she knows who Booker is, although he doesn't know her. Now, if you played the first BioShock, you most likely caught Booker mentioning Apollo Square and Fontaine earlier. So Booker in this reality knows about Rapture. You open the office door to follow Elizabeth and would you look at that, Booker's office in this reality is in Rapture. But this isn't the Rapture we know. This Rapture is intact and it looks absolutely phenomenal. There are normal people down here, actual running businesses, and of course Andrew Ryan's wonderful propaganda. Instead of having to imagine Rapture after Atlas mentioned it in the first game, you now actually get to physically see it with your own eyes. By the way, is that the same whale from the first game? Okay, forget I asked that, but remember how I mentioned that it's December 31st, 1958 a minute ago? Well, if you paid attention to your BioShock lore, you know that on the night of New Year's Eve in 1958 was the night that Rapture pretty much collapsed and turned to shit. So if you know that, you know something's gonna go wrong soon, but how did it go wrong? I mean, look at how normal Rapture's society appears. Nothing really seems out of the ordinary for what Rapture really is. Well, this DLC answers that question, and it honestly surprised me the first time I played it. At the same time, if you know your BioShock lore and what happens in the first game, you're probably going to see some of the things mentioned in the video come from a mile away. Elizabeth says she knows someone who could give a lead on where to find Sally, so you follow her through Rapture to get to that contact. What particularly catches everyone's eye and is honestly unavoidable is the Little Wonders Educational Facility, which was also a level in the first game, by the way, where little girls are trained to become little sisters in order to produce Adam for Fontaine. The only thing is that Fontaine's businesses were seized by Andrew Ryan, and just as a history lesson, there's a big reason why Ryan seized his businesses. While Rapture was a city based on the principle of having no government or regulations, meaning total freedom, Ryan saw Fontaine for what he really was, a smuggler, conman, and a threat to Rapture's stability and his authority. Fontaine ended up faking his own death after Ryan accused him of smuggling and treason, which led to Fontaine making up a fake Irish character named Atlas. Atlas was just a way to help Fontaine seize control of Rapture by pretending to be a people's champion kind of guy and start an uprising. The only thing is that in the first game, it wasn't the people who saw Ryan as a tyrant that helped Fontaine take over the city. It was the main character you play as, whose name is Jack, that won Fontaine control. Pretty much, that sums up the first game, and I think it's really important to note and able to understand the Burial at Sea DLC. While in an elevator with Elizabeth, Elizabeth almost starts interrogating Booker in a weird kind of way.
Where are you taking me?
When's the last time you saw Sally?
What?
She was taken from you, wasn't she?
How do you know this?
She was taken, down at Surprise. You were playing the tables and...
She disappeared.
And?
Cop friend of mine, Sullivan, says they found her floating in the docks.
You see the body?
Look.
Did you see the body? This world values children, not childhood. There's a profit to be made and men who make it. I'm taking you to one of them. Mr. DeWitt, you alright?
I'm fine. Just get these spells sometimes. It'll pass.
As you heard, Elizabeth wasn't just asking open-ended questions, but she was also asking leading questions, which you know is an indicator that someone is looking for a specific answer, or something to clarify and confirm what they are thinking. Elizabeth obviously knows something that Booker doesn't. Then you saw that Booker has some weird vision, kind of like what Jack in the first game had, where Booker is looking at what appears to be a basin of water. The flash was really quick, so I only really looked at it after reviewing my footage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in BioShock Infinite's base story, I believe there's only 2 basins that you could see throughout the game. One is when you first enter the lighthouse at the beginning of the game and Booker refuses to use it, and the other one is the basin that you used to drown Comstock with on his airship near the end of the game. I don't exactly know which basin it is, but I think the best bet is that it's the basin on Comstock's airship that you drowned him with. But the question is, why would he have some flashback looking into a basin? I think you could see why, but for the sake of keeping things in chronological order, I will answer that when the game reveals it. You make it to the location where the contact is. The location is just called Cohen, which is quite the creative name. Booker knocks on the entrance door and they pretty much tell him to fuck off, and then Booker and Elizabeth part ways as they reach a dead end to their investigation, marking the end of the DLC. Is what I would say if I was a pathological liar. But seriously, they just tell Booker that he needs a special mask to enter the building. Elizabeth throws the idea that the mask must be in possession of some local artisans. Booker and Elizabeth then go store to store to find the mask, and after finding the mask they return to Cohen's and they are allowed in. While you may think Cohen's art style is absolute trash based on his quad tick in the first game, you see that he really does have some sort of unique style here. While peacefully walking through the beautiful building, you suddenly hear... Sander Cohen? Oh no. Oh, I'm having flashbacks.
Take a photo of him and place it in the quad tick.
Judged by you, by anyone.
I'm feeling full, like an expectant Mama.
Oh god. Anyways, while making it downstairs, you see the return of Fitzpatrick, or maybe the Fitzpatrick in his prime, still messing up his performances as usual. While hoping to normally get some answers on where Sally is, Cohen still decides to be weird. Cohen tells you that he'll send you to Sally's location in exchange for a dance with Elizabeth. You don't really have another choice, so you dance with Elizabeth and you mess it up too, so you get shocked. Thankfully to Cohen, it's the thought that counts as he still sends you to Sally's location. When waking up, you face some pretty interesting dialogue between Booker and Elizabeth.
Are you alright?
I'm fine.
You were dreaming. You kept saying your daughter's name, Sally.
She's not my daughter.
I thought...
Pain and beauty.
Pretty much before they were so rudely interrupted by Cohen, you could tell how weird that dialogue was. Booker saying Sally's name repeatedly while unconscious, while Elizabeth assumed it was his daughter, and then appearing to have doubts about what she knew about Booker was very off. It's not like her to be doubtful about what she knows, especially when being able to see all realities. There is a purpose for that exchange of dialogue between the two, but that's something I'll explain shortly when the game reveals the plot twist. You see that you're in a bathysphere traveling deeper into the ocean, and you see that the building Sally's at is at Fontaine's department store. Elizabeth mentions that the building is a prison, which, if you can kinda connect the dots from my history lesson earlier in this video, it's a prison because Ryan isolated that building and everyone who's in it. Instead of building a prison, the people in there are trapped far out and way below Rapture, pretty much leaving whoever's out there to die. You could tell how isolated the building is because of how nasty the water surrounding the building looks. There's plenty of debris floating around, showing a lack of care. After the bathysphere docks, you realize that this looks like the Rapture that you knew from the first and second game. There's water leaks, everything looks damaged and withered, and all in all, it just appears abandoned. You encounter your first splicer, showing that there already was chaos going on in Rapture before its fall on New Year's Eve. It was just separated from the rest of society is all. Another iconic BioShock Infinite elevator moment shows up, and this time, Elizabeth asks a simple question and it stumps Booker.
When did you come to Rapture?
Oh, it was, geez, I guess around 51? No, 48?
That's a rather large gap.
Time. Life I had before. Sort of becomes a blur. 49. 49 for sure. Damn.
You look a mess, Mr. DeWitt.
Just keep your eyes open for splicers. They can do us a whole lot worse.
As you heard, Booker couldn't remember the year he arrived in Rapture, saying he arrived from 51 to 48 and finally 49. Elizabeth shows obvious signs of doubt because, like I've been saying, Elizabeth knows the answers. If you couldn't already tell, Elizabeth is testing Booker, and Booker doesn't realize it. The nosebleed after Booker being sure that he arrived in Rapture in 1949 also tells you that Booker is trying to recall an event that didn't happen in this reality but happened in another one. As you proceed through the building, fighting a bunch of splicers and exploring what's pretty much a mall, you get the Old Man Winter vigor to advance through the game. I wouldn't have noted this part if there wasn't another interesting moment between Booker and Elizabeth.
Ready. We should grab that plasma.
Damn it, that son of a bitch drank every last bottle of Old Man Winter.
I think I can help.
What was that?
It's a new plasmid. Lets me bring in things that might exist, but don't.
I'm not sure I understand. What's it called?
Tear.
Where'd you find that?
You don't expect a girl to share all her secrets, do you, Mr. DeWitt?
Because plasmids weren't a new thing to Booker in this reality, he had a much more chill and curious reaction to seeing a terror, as Elizabeth was able to easily lie and say that it was a plasmid. The Booker in this reality apparently has never seen a terror before, while the Booker who died at the end of the base game story pretty much knew all about them. That is another thing that just reminds you that you're a completely different Booker. After that moment, Elizabeth is able to open tears for Booker to help him in combat since she won't need to hide it anymore. After making it through the whole building and finding a bathysphere to get to the next building, Booker has some sort of realization in the back of his mind that Elizabeth just doesn't seem right to him.
Something about you. Doesn't sit right.
Yes?
Wouldn't peg you as the Rapture type. Not even a little.
If you mean I have no interest in joining the Andrew Ryan Book Club, you'd be right. Just another set of fanatics with a different set of books.
I gamble.
What?
You asked me how I lost Sally. I gamble. Took her somewhere a kid's got no business being. I was winning. In a place like that, you don't let a kid out of your sight.
But you did.
Yeah, and here we are. But the million-dollar question is, what's she to you?
I have an interest in reuniting you with her. Isn't that reason enough?
He doesn't exactly know why, other than that she doesn't seem like she fits in Rapture, which in his case he's actually right about it. Booker then remembered how he lost Sally, which was due to gambling. Pretty much he lost Sally in a similar way to the Bookers in other realities who lost Anna due to gambling. The weird part of this is that while he didn't confirm his relations to Sally, he previously said that he didn't really know her, plus Elizabeth mentioned something about reuniting them. Once Booker and Elizabeth make it to the next building, they spot Sally climbing and entering a vent to escape a splicer. Sally is a little sister. Because Sally was already gone, Booker and Elizabeth make a plan to close all of the vents but one, and turn the heat up to force her to get out at one point. Booker was hesitant on the plan as he didn't want to hurt Sally, but Elizabeth pretty much convinced him to go through with the plan. After closing all of the vents but one, Booker and Elizabeth make it to a room with a thermostat. Elizabeth then cranks up the thermostat from 55 degrees Fahrenheit to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Why did she turn it up that high? That's the one thing I don't know. Booker and Elizabeth hear Sally screaming and run to the one vent that's open. While on the way, Booker keeps telling Elizabeth to turn it off because it's hurting Sally, but Elizabeth keeps it on. Sally then shows up at the vent and Booker tries getting her out but couldn't. A Big Daddy shows up and tries killing Booker, so Booker has to fight it. After defeating the Big Daddy, Booker goes back to the vent to get Sally, and that's when the big plot twist hits.
Is she?
Look at Sarah. Huh? She's come to see you. We're going home. Do you want to go home? Don't, please, don't. I'm here. I just want to take you home. I just want you.
You're hurting her.
She's got to come with me.
She's not your child.
She is mine.
Let her go. Let her go.
She's mine. Shut it down. Shut down the machine.
You've got to pull her through.
Shut down the machine. No, she's not through. Shut it down.
No.
I remember all of it. That poor child.
She wasn't yours, Comstock.
Oh, no.
I wasn't.
No.
Yet you had to have me, didn't you?
No, this isn't right.
And when the guilt was too much,
You turned to us to solve your problem.
To provide a place to go where you might forget.
Where there never was an Anna in the first place.
Comstock was never one to own up to his errors, was he, brother?
Never comfortable with the choices he made.
Always seeking someone else's life to claim as his own.
Elizabeth. Child. I am so sorry.
no, you're not. But you're about to be.
Yeah, that plot twist was fucking nuts to me. In a good way, of course. And to try to make it more understandable, here's how all of this connects. Booker, who eventually remembers he's actually Comstock, used the Lutece's tear machine to escape into Rapture, hoping to forget the guilt he carried from his original reality. Back in that reality, when Comstock tried to pull Anna through the tear, he ordered the Luteces to shut it down, and as it closed, it severed Anna's head. That moment mirrors the doll head that he carries throughout the DLC, a physical reminder of what he did. Overcome with guilt, Comstock fled into a new reality, one where Anna never existed. That's why he doesn't recognize Elizabeth, but she recognizes him. While the base game's ending erased every reality tied to Comstock, this version survived by stepping through that tear before the collapse of it. When Comstock looks at Sally's doll and apologizes to Elizabeth, she sees through it instantly. She knows he's not truly remorseful. He's still a man running from responsibility. Then a Big Daddy kills him, impaling him from behind, which I'm sure was kind of surprising to everybody. In the end, Elizabeth had been testing him all along, creating a fake case to force him to confront the truth instead of hiding behind false memories. It was closure for Elizabeth. Once this last Comstock remembered what he did, his story and every version of him finally came to an end. While you think that could be the end of the story, it's not. We still have this last segment to go through. I don't think it's going to be as long as my episode 1 segment, but there's still some really cool things to talk about in this part. When you start in episode 2, it pulls up a whole recap of the first BioShock game, which is kind of an interesting thing to do for episode 2 and not the first one, but I get it. Anyways, this part starts off in Paris? While I guess it would be cool for Elizabeth to be in Paris, this just seems way too good to be true. This is literally the most Disney movie type shit I've ever seen in a video game. You have this weird kid dancing around with a loaf of bread, everyone says hello to Elizabeth and knows her by name. You got cats actually chilling and watching her performance, and a bird that lands on Elizabeth's finger and is actually singing along. If anything, it seems more like Elizabeth's imagination on what Paris is like. Pretty much the last thing that makes it seem kind of unbelievable is the stand that says the bird or the cage, which if you remember was an unimportant choice the Luteces give you in the base story. Suddenly when you turn around, you see a little girl holding a red balloon. When you talk to her, you see that the little girl is Sally, the one who was a little sister in Rapture in the first episode. Once the balloon starts flying away from Sally, she chases it and Elizabeth chases after Sally. Pretty much everything about how perfect Paris looked is just gone. There's hardly any color and you see very ominous and kind of creepy images around the city. And a transorbital lobotomy sign. That's just gross to think about. Sally disappears and the balloon leads Elizabeth to a door, and that door is Booker's office door. After entering, Elizabeth sees the thermostat that she turned to max heat from the previous episode.
Go away. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything! No, it wasn't my fault. Leave me alone. Can't you just leave me alone? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I never should have left. I never should have left you there.
Pretty much, Elizabeth is being haunted by her memories. If you're wondering why Sally is there and haunting her, it's because Elizabeth used her as bait to kill Comstock. After Comstock was killed, Elizabeth left Sally in the heated vent. Elizabeth believed that she died and she was at fault for it. Elizabeth suddenly wakes up from unconsciousness, right next to Comstock's corpse. Then Elizabeth looks up and sees a guy named Lonnie play Russian roulette with her, pretty much gambling on her life only. He actually pulled the trigger of the revolver 6 times and not one shot fired, which is actually really lucky. Suddenly you see Atlas show up and you can also see another character pulling Sally out of the vent, proving that she didn't die. But seeing and hearing Atlas in person for the first time is kinda crazy. We already know Atlas is Fontaine, but I will be calling him Atlas throughout this DLC just because that's who he is portraying himself as. If actually seeing Atlas wasn't crazy enough, Booker suddenly appears even though he's dead. Booker is sitting in a chair with a guitar and it's pretty clear that it's completely out of place and Atlas and his crew don't see him. Which one could only assume that Elizabeth has some sort of visual and auditory hallucinations. Booker pretty much coaches Elizabeth through this whole situation she's in. If Elizabeth doesn't find a way out of the situation, she's most likely just going to get killed by Lonnie. Booker tells Elizabeth to say this magical statement that instantly gives Atlas a change of heart when it comes to killing or sparing her.
Just say it.
I can get you back to Rapture.
Put the gun down. Now, what was that you said about Rapture?
I can get you back. to Rapture.
And how you plan on doing that, sister? You some kind of magician?
Suchong.
What?
Tell him Suchong.
Suchong.
And how do you know that, slant-eyed wonder?
You're his lab assistant.
I'm his lab assistant.
If it escaped your notice, Andrew Ryan sunk us 5,000 fathoms below his shining city. How does Suchong propose to get us back?
That's between me
That's between me
and the slant.
and the slant. But if I do this, the girl goes with me.
Little sisters are worth their weight in gold. She's not up for negotiation.
Last time I checked, back in the city they were making little sisters by the dozen.
That's a right fairy tale you've dreamed up, sister. But if you're lying, we can just as well kill you tomorrow. Down here, we got nothing but time. In case I need to get hold of you. If you see Suchong, tell him Atlas says he hasn't forgotten him.
As you saw, Elizabeth made a deal with Atlas. The deal is that Elizabeth will get Atlas and his crew back to Rapture in exchange for her life being spared and getting Sally back. At this point, Elizabeth's main priority is to keep Sally safe and get her out of Rapture, but she'll have to play ball with Atlas in order to do so. When Elizabeth gets up, Booker immediately pages her on the radio. As I have already said, Booker is dead, so the only thing that makes sense is that Booker is Elizabeth's subconsciousness. That does end up being proven throughout multiple dialogues where other characters ask Elizabeth who she's talking to, and even Booker himself stating that he's not Booker and he's dead.
What was I thinking?
I wasn't Paris any more than I am Booker.
Now I have to find this Suchong, and I don't even know who that is.
Not yet, but you know he's the key, don't you?
To what?
You're asking me. Elizabeth, I ain't even here.
As Elizabeth proceeds through the toy department where the last episode left off, we reach an important plot in the DLC when we remove the rubble to find a way out of the building.
Oh my god. Stay away from me. Booker. No, please don't. I died here. I was killed by that. Stay away from me! Then how am I here? How can I be dead in this world and yet... My finger. What am I? Huh? I don't understand.
If we're going to end up in the same place as Lindsay and Harmon and John lied,
Are you being cute?
I've come round to your way of thinking.
Have you?
Yes. I do believe one can change things, but after all the bother, one often wishes that one had not.
You're a fatalist.
A physicist.
A fatalist.
So was Newton, especially when it came to apples falling from trees. They always contrived to land with a splat. She left the child to rot.
Are you implying she's the apple?
I'm implying that she did not fall far from the tree.
And now she wants to go back.
I need to go back. To fix what I broke.
Back to where she has no right to be.
Back to where she doesn't belong.
Doesn't belong. Wait, what do you mean?
Do you want to tell her brother, or shall I?
Because I died.
There are rules.
Even for one such as you.
She'll forget.
All the doors.
And what's behind all the doors?
All closed to her now.
She'll be just like the rest of us.
Forgetting the past.
The present.
The future.
I'd wager she won't even remember this conversation. We've arrived. You're trading omniscience and croissance for death and mildew.
I left Sally to rot. For what? So I could punish Comstock? He was trying to help her, to save her, and if I don't make that right...
We all have our crosses to bear.
But there is a thin line between a martyr and a fool.
The Luteces warned me that if I came back here, I would collapse.
Collapse.
From a quantum superposition to just me.
Quantum what?
I've changed, Booker. No tears, no cosmic knowledge. Just a normal girl. With a normal pinky. Hate it. If I can't open tears, I'm never leaving here, am I? I'm never going back to Paris. You're just what? You're just the fragments of my memory telling me what my future holds?
You decided to come here, Elizabeth. You knew what that meant. Only option, as I see it, is to trust yourself. Find Suchong.
The Elizabeth we left off as in episode 1 of the DLC was killed by that same Big Daddy that killed Comstock. That was the death of the Elizabeth that we knew the whole entire game. This new Elizabeth still has her pinky, which indicates that she's just a normal woman now. She can't open tears or pretty much see behind the doors, which is pretty much seeing the future. Scary enough, this is the Elizabeth's final reality, and she's using her last reality to make things right with Sally. Something I do want to touch on real quick is the gameplay aspect of episode 2 in this DLC. Like, I don't know what happened, but since when did BioShock ever have an actual stealth mechanic? I mean something that wasn't just crouching and doing more damage when hidden. In this DLC, the surface you walk on depends on how loud you are. Carpets muffle footsteps, and things like shattered glass and water make you louder. You can climb through vents to get to different rooms and to hide. You can pick locks, you can pick up first aid kits, which you couldn't do in the base game, and you can't kill enemies if you melee them while they see you, which forces you to lose them and take a stealthy approach or actually shoot them with a gun. Speaking of meleeing and using guns, am I crazy or does Elizabeth use guns differently? She definitely carries the skyhook and doesn't wear it like Booker did, which leads to a different melee animation, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like she's new to using guns while Booker uses guns like it's second nature. And just the fact that it seems like that to me really shows that the developers put in good detail on Elizabeth, and it makes complete sense if Elizabeth isn't used to using guns. She was never the one who used guns in the base game, but my biggest point here is that I believe the developers did the stealth mechanic pretty fine for their first time ever implementing it in the game. I really enjoyed the gameplay, although I'm not the biggest fan of stealth in the first place, so props to the devs. One more thing I want to mention is that there is an optional objective to where if you collect all 4 coded messages around the level, you get to see a hidden room that belongs to Atlas. The 4 messages simply talk about something called the ace in the hole, which we don't know what that is yet, but that does get answered later on, and it's actually one of, if not the most important thing to ever happen in BioShock's lore. The notes show that Atlas is looking for the ace in the hole, and his crew has been going around trying to get it for him. The crew tried to get it from Dr. Suchong, but were unsuccessful as Andrew Ryan stopped them. They then tried to locate Dr. Tenenbaum to get the ace in the hole, but they were unable to locate her. The last note reveals a hidden location that's protected from Andrew Ryan's men. This location was a cosmetics room. As I stated previously in this video, Fontaine faked his death and changed his looks and voice to portray himself as Atlas. This is where Elizabeth connects the dots between the 2 characters. All that's left is an audio diary that Fontaine left, showing that he's desperate to get the ace in the hole. Jeez, I can't believe I just said that.
Suchong, I'm gonna make this clear as can be, so we don't have any miscommunications. Where the hell is the ace in the hole? You think you can stiff Frank Fontaine? I paid good money for state-of-the-art weaponry. I ain't losing this war just because you found yourself a higher bidder. I can promise you, I ain't never been one to lose with dignity.
Anyways, back to the story. Elizabeth's plan to hold up to her end of the deal is to find Dr. Suchong. If you don't exactly remember who Suchong is, he was an employee of Fontaine Futuristics where he created and improved a lot of plasmids that are available in Rapture, such as Electrobolt, Incinerate, and Telekinesis. While that shows a huge importance of who Dr. Suchong is, he also is responsible for the mental conditioning of little sisters, such as seeing corpses as angels and the Big Daddy bonding process, which is why Big Daddies and little sisters have that special bond. A huge missable factor on why Elizabeth is looking for Suchong is because if there's anyone who would know how to undo Sally becoming a little sister, it would be him. As pretty much what the whole BioShock 2 story tells us, it's that the big daddy and little sister need each other, and once they're bonded for life. And that needs to be broken to save Sally. Anyways, Elizabeth finds out that a business called the Silverfin Restaurant was closed by Dr. Suchong, which makes that the best lead to finding him. Once she makes it to the Silverfin Restaurant, she learns that Suchong knew about Columbia, Booker, and her. How? Because he has a Lutece device, meaning he was able to travel through tears. Unfortunately, the Lutece device was broken, so you have to go around the level to collect the pieces to fix it. It was a pretty standard objective though. After fixing the device, Elizabeth enters the Terror to Columbia to see what she can find. The Terror opens up to the First Lady airship, which was a hugely important airship in the base game. After going up an elevator, you find a quantum particle, which was actually used to keep the city of Columbia floating, so now you know. To put 2 and 2 together, that prison that Atlas and his crew are trapped in is way below Rapture. With a quantum particle, you can raise the prison back up to Rapture's level, which would complete the deal that Elizabeth made with Atlas. You go back down the elevator and try to exit the Terror to go back to Rapture, but it's not going to be as simple as that.
Pretty lady not finished yet.
What? Open the tear.
Powerful device, very expensive. Tit for tat.
Just tell me what you want.
Suchong wanted something simple. Lock of hair.
Oh, you're not serious.
Not your hair, stupid. Fink has a secret lab. Mothballed, forgotten. In there, hair sample. In jar. Cannot miss it. You get for Suchong. Then everybody friends.
Where's his lab?
Closed off, past Fink's quarters. You smart lady, you find.
So now you gotta find a hair sample for him. While it's not as simple as that, you're in the middle of the Vox Populi siege at Finkton's factories. Now you might be wondering, how is this reality still there when Elizabeth killed the last Comstock? I'm not gonna lie, that part has me stumped and I just don't think this makes a whole ton of sense. I'm just gonna say that that's really my only real negative criticism of this DLC. But seeing this, it makes sense to me why people say you shouldn't think too hard about time and reality concepts in games and movies. When you look too far into it like I sometimes do, it's easy to find cracks in the logic with it. If you have an answer as to how this reality still exists, please let me know in the comments. Anyways, as you travel through Columbia, you come across Daisy Fitzroy again, but in a light that you haven't seen her in yet. Daisy is talking to the Luteces, and the Luteces are pretty much convincing her to take Jeremiah Fink's son hostage to push Elizabeth to kill her and allow her to move towards the mature mindset like it usually goes. Which weirdly proves that the Luteces still manipulate events to fit their ideas of the constants and variables. Daisy didn't want to hold a boy hostage and die, but the Luteces convinced her to. Now knowing that, it shows you that this point of the base story was pretty much staged. It really makes you wonder how many other events in the game were also staged. Unfortunately, we don't know and never will. After that scene, you continue to fight and sneak through the Vox Populi throughout this giant building until you make it to the lab that has the hair sample. Now, something I haven't touched in my video about the base game story is that Columbia and Rapture have similar technology. But what you learn in this DLC is that there is a reason for it. With the Terror device being in both Rapture and Columbia, that is an opportunity for Jeremiah Fink and Dr. Suchong to trade research, and to collaborate on projects and improve their ideas. As a good example, Rapture and Columbia shared research on Big Daddies and forming bonds. If Rapture needed help with improving bonds, Columbia could assist with that. If Columbia needed help with ideas for a vigor, Rapture can give them ideas on what kinds of plasmids they have. It does appear that Columbia's labs focused on bonding and imprinting more than anything, and what's cool is that you could see what helped make Songbird and Elizabeth bond and pretty much become family.
Booker. The little girl in the film. It's me. My God. Oh, I remember. He was He'd crashed into the tower. I guess he was in some sort of fight. I waited there thinking, I don't know, that something would happen, but he just lay there, moaning. I couldn't just...
The lion with the thorn in its paw. So much for science.
I should have just left him there to die. I should have just... I will never escape it. Exploited, exploiting, me, Comstock, you, Sally. It's like a wheel of blood spinning round and round.
Despite the super weird and confusing logic of this reality existing, I thought that was an awesome bit of lore that the DLC added, and it answers the question that we never asked, which is, why is their technology similar? So after walking through the labs, Elizabeth gets the hair sample and realizes that it's just her own hair, which Dr. Suchong didn't know, or else he would have just had her cut her own hair. Elizabeth makes it back to the Terror, goes through it, and turns the sample into Suchong. All of a sudden, Andrew Ryan takes control of the screens around the lab. Andrew Ryan figured out that you're helping Atlas and sent his men over to kill them. Ryan gives Elizabeth the choice to either work for him or die. Of course, Elizabeth refuses to work for him, so Ryan sends men to kill her. After surviving the attack, Elizabeth goes over to Fontaine's office, or pretty much Atlas's office, and uses the quantum particle she got from the First Lady airship. Once the quantum particle is deployed, the building starts rising to Rapture's level, and Atlas's crew confronts Elizabeth and captures her.
Here goes nothing. It's working! Atlas, you feel that? You have your prison break. Now bring me the girl.
Did your mom ever teach you not to put your faith in strange foreign
Just
men?
give me the girl. She means nothing to you.
You've got that right. The girl means nothing. But you, love, you mean the world.
After being captured, Lonnie first starts questioning Elizabeth about the ace in the hole. If you didn't do the optional objective, this may be the first time you ever hear it. Either way, you don't know what it is. After knocking Elizabeth out again, this time, Atlas starts asking her about the ace in the hole. Because Elizabeth doesn't know what it is, Atlas starts torturing her, pretty much the same thing that we saw in the Paris segment at the beginning. Transorbital lobotomy.
He calls this little trick a transorbital lobotomy. Take hold of her, lads.
You're wasting your
Now,
time.
if you won't remain still, I can't be held responsible for what comes next. Here we go. You feel that? I'm moving the pick across your eyeball, still now, and resting it on your skull. There's about a bit over 1/4 of an inch of bone between the pick and your prefrontal lobe. And that's where this little fella comes in.
I don't...
It was just a wee tap. But I don't expect it'll take more than a few of those to reach the meat. And then we might find you a bit less the mule. Where's me ace in the hole?
I don't know.
You know what else rests in the lobe? Creativity. Individuality. Personality. In short, what makes you, you. I'm just about through now. Last chance, pet. Where is the ace in the hole?
Or what? What, you'll put a hole in my head and take away my memories? You want to make me forget all this? You want to make me not care anymore? Go ahead. You'll be doing me a favor.
Ah! Bring in the monster! You're a regular hero, ain't you? Can't risk ripping the only part of you that's worth a damn. Well, there's more than one way to fry an egg. Now, little one, are you familiar with the term transorbital lobotomy?
Please let her
It's
go.
a simple matter. All I need to is insert this pick into your eye.
Please, I don't know
Give it
anything.
a few taps with me hammer.
I don't know
Better
anything.
to show by example.
Please, please don't. I don't know anything. I don't know. Please.
As much as transorbital lobotomy is gross, something cool from that scene is that once Atlas got pissed and told his crew to bring out Sally, his regular voice slipped out for 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, hitting you with that good old Frank Fontaine nostalgia. Elizabeth is suddenly somewhere else and sees Booker again. Booker tells her that the ace in the hole is where Dr. Suchong died. Elizabeth snaps back into reality and tells Atlas what she remembers.
Suchong's clinic. It's at Suchong's clinic.
That's a bit convenient now. Ryan's got every turret in the place tuned to me and me men's genetic code. We'd be torn to shreds before we got 10 feet.
That's right. Which is why I'm gonna do it for you. You okay with that?
Get me the ace, I'll wrap the brat in a silk ribbon. Bag her and bring her to my bathysphere. One of the lads will show you how to get inside. We'll be waiting for you where you come out. Shake a leg now. The Lord hates a laggard.
Atlas makes Elizabeth go find the ace in the hole at Suchong's clinic. Throughout the clinic, you could see prototypes and the technology that Rapture has, like the Bouncer Big Daddy's drill, a giant security camera, and a prototype of the Vita chamber. There's also a Big Daddy that's injured in front of a doorway that you need to go through. Because it's too heavy, of course, Elizabeth needs to find another way to move it, and as I stated earlier in this video, Big Daddies need little sisters, so the solution to it is for little sisters to give it at them.
Big monster sick.
It's okay. It's okay. Please. I don't know how to help him. He needs Adam. I don't have any of that. I don't know what to
Monster's
do.
going to die. Not fair. We can help. Help.
After the Big Daddy moves out of the way, you can finally proceed and figure out what the ace in the hole is. The developers brought back the Suchong audio diary in the first game that you find before you encounter and kill Andrew Ryan. I'm not going to play it because I'm a dog lover, but it's the audio diary of Suchong's experiment where he tells Jack from BioShock 1 to kill his dog, and Jack refused to do it until he said, "Would you kindly?" Shortly after, Elizabeth encounters Suchong and the little sisters she saw earlier. This part's really cool because it physically shows you what actually happened during that audio diary you find in BioShock 1.
Genetic sequence to sequence to allow for Get away, you filthy little shit! What are you doing? Get back! Get back!
Right next to Suchong is the ace in the hole, and like I said, it is most likely the most important thing in BioShock lore.
This is it. This is the ace in the hole. All the pain and all of the death for this.
While it was quite obvious what it could be, especially after seeing the picture attached to it, it's a huge connection to the first game. Elizabeth takes the ace in the hole to Atlas. While approaching him, you could see Rapture under attack in the background, showing the fall of it. Remember from the very beginning of this DLC, it is currently New Year's Eve in 1958, which was the start of the fall of Rapture, leading to the event of BioShock 1 and later BioShock 2.
Hey, sister. Over here.
I have it.
Give it over then. I'm keen to get this brat off me hands.
You know what? Andrew Ryan said I was a rube. But he was wrong. I'm not the rube, Atlas. You are. Now, we both know what happens next. Just get it over with.
Well, love, if you insist. What is this? It's just a bunch of gibberish. What does this say, you little whore? Hey! What does this say?
Would you kindly?
We've got the activation phrase. Now all we've got to do is get that genetic freak of nature on an airplane, and Rapture's ours.
I chose you, Rapture.
Chooses. A slave obeys.
To save one life is to save the world entire. It is you who are very safe now.
I can see all the doors. And what's behind all the doors. And behind one of them, incredibly, I see him.
Je vois la vie en rose. Il m'a dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours. Et ça me fait quelque chose.
Part de bonheur dont je connais la cause.
And that right there was the end of BioShock Infinite's Burial at Sea DLC. There's a few important things there at the end. 1. Elizabeth knew Atlas was going to kill her, but what was more important to her was saving Sally. 2. Elizabeth saw Jack on the airplane and realized that "would you kindly" was the phrase that would set things in motion. What Atlas thought was going to be his win was actually going to be his downfall. And 3. Sally does end up getting saved in the end, and that was by Jack. Pretty much, Elizabeth passed the baton to Jack and he finished the objective for her. While it is sad that Elizabeth died, she also did make things right for Sally, so it is quite bittersweet. I could see what issues people may have with this DLC, but I actually really loved it. Well, besides that weird logic with Columbia still existing, but it still somehow fitted really well and added context to the relations that Columbia and Rapture share. Overall, I thought it was a very strong send-off for BioShock Infinite, and it was really great seeing how BioShock Infinite connects to the other 2 BioShock games. And it's crazy because what seemed like a very simple beginning to BioShock 1 was actually kind of complex. None of it would have happened if it wasn't for Elizabeth, and she was the main cause for Rapture's downfall. And what I also found fascinating was how the DLC didn't only add on to BioShock 1 or BioShock Infinite. It added more lore to both. And that'll wrap it up for this video, and hey, don't forget to drop a like or even subscribe or follow depending on social media for more content like this. I also very much appreciate comments, as it's always awesome to hear your opinions on the video or the game itself, or if you want me to do a certain game, let me know and I'll absolutely consider it. Alright, that's it. See ya.